Would I be the a-hole for uninviting my brother to my wedding after he canceled on hosting the wedding? Well, this is going to be fun to unpack. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Jamie Wolfer. I'm your online wedding planner who occasionally does AITA Wedding Edition to kind of help you unpack some of the weird eccentricities and etiquette things that oftentimes surround weddings, and honestly, for most of us, are a nice reprieve from sometimes how stressful wedding planning can be. Now, if you are planning a wedding and you're feeling super stressed out, you need to jump on down there and you need to hit subscribe. This is literally what I do. I help people plan stress-free weddings, balling on a budget because you deserve a stress-free wedding day. So go hit subscribe, okay? Occasionally, you're going to see an AITA. But for the most part, I give really, really good budget wedding advice, if I do say so myself. That sounds like I'm extremely full of myself, but listen, I really enjoy what I do, okay? So stick around. Go hit subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's just jump right on into this, okay? My fiance and I decided we wanted to have an intimate wedding ceremony instead of a large wedding. For the venue, we asked my brother and sister-in-law if we could have it in their backyard about a year ago. They said they would be honored to host. We knew it was a big ask since they had a second newborn on the way and promised we would be as unobtrusive as possible and take care of everything that needed to be taken care of. For guest count, we're at 26 people. That's very small. That's like a large dinner party. So as intimate as possible for a backyard wedding. They insisted it would be a wonderful setting and it would mean a lot to them to have it there as well. We're pretty close-knit. We come from a household of strong family values and grew up together. So we're about a month and a half out from our wedding day, and my brother just informed us that they could no longer host the wedding at their place. Okay, stuff happens. Through happenstance, their nanny/family friend, who's also monk. Is monk a type of religion? Wait, hold on. Let me Google this real quick. Monasticism, or the practice of living as a monk, exists in several religions in the world, including Christianity, Hinduism, Sikhism, Jainism? Jainism? Actually, I don't think I've ever read that out loud. And Buddhism. Monks are not officially a part of Islam or Judaism. However, people of those religions have formed religious communities. So this person could be a monk of varying religious degree, who's also monk. I don't understand this. Okay. Found out we were having our wedding there and told them it would bring less luck to their family. Apparently, the superstition goes that if you host a sibling's wedding at your house, you give away your luck to that family. Okay. And now they are new parents to a 6-month-old and a 2-year-old. They don't want anything to happen to them and want to give them the best chance at life they possibly can. Oh, this just got weird. Nobody knew about this until now. Our family has never really been superstitious. I know my sister-in-law's family is more conservative and believes in these sorts of things. I'm pretty tolerant of others' belief system, and while I don't understand it, I do respect it. But we are literally less than 2 months out now from our big day. Fortunately, a venue change isn't too difficult, right? Because you have a pretty small size event, but it definitely throws a curveball into logistics when we had everything set. I love my brother and would want the best for his family and the kiddos, but right now I don't want anything to do with him. That's fair. I can understand the frustration. Adding info. Edited first paragraph for clarity on timeline of when the ask was /grammar. We live in the US, not sure what religion or sect, guessing Buddhism or feng shui. He did try to find us a new venue, not well thought out options, but still tried nonetheless. Did offer to cover whatever additional cost to send out invites. Was not explicitly stated, but based on a relationship and knowing my brother, he would try to cover the venue cost. Okay. Everyone's saying that this person's not the a-hole for wanting to uninvite their brother. Okay, if you're new here, here's how this process works for me. I read it, I share my thoughts, we read the comments. I think that while this is a very bizarre reason to, in my opinion, to cancel hosting someone's event, especially so close to the date, it does paint the brother in a very poor light, okay? It's not a good look. It's not a good look. And while I disagree with the meaning or the intent behind it, I can't speak for them and their faith and what they believe. So it's a choice. They put up a boundary. They are well within their rights to do that, okay? For me, it sounds like the brother is going to do whatever he can in his power to fix it, right? That he's like, I'll find you places. And the OP's like, please don't. Like, you're really not doing a great job, which, you know, OP is well within their rights to say that as well. Like, hey, no, thank you. It's okay. You're probably not going to find the right vibe. Anyways, we'll figure it out. But knowing that the brother would probably jump up and happily pay for this, yes, he is causing a kerfuffle. And yes, all of a sudden we have this really weird superstitious thing coming out of nowhere, what feels like nowhere. And the couple has every right to be frustrated by this. But I don't think I would uninvite the brother because of it. And maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just because it is literally like a pressure cooker for emotions and families. And when you only have 26 people coming, to have 4 of those people missing, it will be noticed, it will be felt, and it will be something that you're probably going to be asked about. And you are well within your rights to also put up a boundary. Your brother did, you can as well. I just don't think that a wedding day is the day to die on a hill for something like this, personally. I think with 26 people, you can very easily find a location, oftentimes, that can host the amount. I think you're allowed to feel sad. I think you're allowed to communicate that to your brother. And I think it's also well within your rights to rescind the invitation. I just wouldn't make that same choice, especially if you're close. You grew up together. And yes, while this kind of came out of nowhere, I don't think I would uninvite them. I think you can feel your feelings. I think you can share them with your brother and your sister-in-law. And I think you can share what a logistical and administrative nightmare this is going to be. But I don't think I would uninvite them. Even if I disagree with their reasoning, I just would choose instead to have an intentional heart-to-heart conversation with my brother and his wife and go, you guys, this is big. Like, I get that you are doing this to protect your family. This has caused quite a kerfuffle for me. And right now I'm really frustrated. And right now I'm having a really hard time being around you because I don't think you realize how much this hurt my feelings and how much this is going to affect my wedding day. And allow for that to be a moment of, conversation and potentially restoration before going straight to, I'm uninviting them. Because that's like not inviting a family member to a wedding, especially when it's this small and their lack of presence will totally be noticed. I don't think it's the hill I would die on. Now, I don't think you're an a-hole for feeling these feelings. I just don't think that I would make the same choice. And if it was my client, I probably, if they asked me for the advice, I wouldn't give this freely, right? It's their choice. It's their wedding. I don't need to tell them who to invite or who not to invite. Instead, I'm just going to tell people on the internet my thoughts about it. Oh, not the a-hole. Just tell him that you don't want to bring bad luck to his house and you don't want him to bring bad luck to your wedding. You are afraid of some superstition you are unaware of might follow him into your wedding. Okay, well, that's just petty. It is just as ridiculous excuse as he gave you. Just don't share the new location or the correct time with him, or be honest and just tell him that his cancellation of the location was also his cancellation of the invitation. Whoa. How are your family relations? If this is how you handle please tell me you don't handle things like this. Perfect, and there isn't a comeback he can use that couldn't be about his canceling your wedding. Yeah, if that's our intent. From the Knot website. Great, because the Knot is definitely the source of all things accurate when it comes to wedding planning. 17, don't pass a nun or a monk on the way to your wedding. It's considered bad luck. Tell your brother that you're concerned he'll bring bad luck to your wedding due to his proximity and constant exposure to his nanny monk. Nanny monk, not the a-hole. It's totally bad luck to not disinvite someone who leaves you in a lurch at the last second. That's a double negative. What? Bad karma. You don't need that at your nuptials. He'll totally understand. Not the a-hole. What a strange story. It is honestly a very strange story. I wonder if there's some other reason he doesn't want to host your wedding. Perhaps he's being pressured by his in-laws. If so, he needs to learn to stand up to them. Well, now we're just inventing things. Now we're just making things up. You don't know if any of that's true. So why are we saying this? Regardless, this puts you in a bind 2 months out, and he's just proven he is untrustworthy. No, he hasn't. He's not proven he's untrustworthy. He changed his mind. Now, he might have proven that he couldn't be depended on for big things like that, but I don't think he's untrustworthy. I think we're assigning the wrong language here. And I do think the connotation of the word is important, okay? He's not untrustworthy as a person, but I definitely wouldn't plan on hosting any events there ever again. For sure. I would be furious too. I would calmly explain to him that you were very unhappy with this development, that it is causing significant issues with your wedding plans, and that while you love him, he is no longer invited to the wedding because what he just did was so disrespectful to you and your fiance. Good luck. Oh, like it's not intended as a disrespect. It could be perceived as that, but it's definitely not how it's intended, right? They heard something that they believe in a religious capacity could affect the health and wellness and future of their family, so they made a different decision accordingly. If they didn't tell you why, or if they made up a story for why, hey, we're having septic issues, not a good look. Or, hey, we just found out we're not allowed to have that many vehicles on our property. Or, hey, whatever the other reason was, the real issue that people are getting mad here is because they don't believe in the validity of the brother's reasoning, right? So here we are telling him that your reasons are not good enough for canceling this event. He thinks they are. Because if it was something outside of his control, which in this case he believes it is, he believes that this superstitious idea is outside of his control, and if he allows this to happen, then he may be affecting the luck of his family moving forward. It is something outside of himself, in his opinion. How much grace do we give that? How much do we hold his nose to the grindstone on that? I mean, to each his own, right? You're going to have to decide if that's something that's going to affect you moving forward. But this sounds like it's a first strike situation, right? And yes, it's a big strike. It's your wedding venue. It's it's like a huge way to muck up a relationship. is to rescind a wedding venue offer. But it is still just 26 people. I am sure you could figure it out, even though you don't want to, and I get that. But he put up a boundary, and you don't have to like it. But he did, and you're allowed to be mad about it. You're allowed to not believe in the validity of the boundary, but he does. So would I taint the rest of the relationship by uninviting them? I don't think so. But I also don't think you're an a-hole for thinking like this and feeling these feelings, okay? I think this is kind of like more like an everyone sucks here situation, except for you don't suck. You're just contemplating uninviting him. I just personally wouldn't do it. Okay, so you don't suck. You have every right to feel this way. Just let me make that clear. Fortunately, a venue change isn't too difficult. You aren't wrong to be upset by this late change. It adds greatly to the stress of planning a wedding. But it's best to use the wedding as a time for family togetherness rather than as an opportunity to express displeasure. While I don't think his family's superstitions are reasonable, don't make your wedding a source for a lifetime of resentment. That guy incognito knows what's up. This OP not the a-hole, but don't risk bad blood with your brother because he fell prey to some ridiculous voodoo BS from his spouse's side of the family. This. Okay, because I just saw the next comment, and now I feel like I have to. This, just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean you should make a life-altering decision on your relationship and where you guys will stand moving forward. This next intro line caught my eye immediately, though. Well, now that you've heard from the kids with no life experience, which will end up being the verdict in the end anyways, because Reddit, it's time for the adults to enter the chat. Oh, please agree with me. I get that you're pissed right now, but jumping straight to the nuclear option of uninviting him is ridiculous. Thank you. Why not just go no contact with him while you're at it? Are you prepared for this to stir up an S-storm of drama that will split your close family apart? This isn't something to make a decision based on emotion. You posted here, so I think you get that. His circumstances changed, whether you agree with it or not. For such a small wedding, finding a new venue in a month and a half isn't that difficult. You said so yourself. A pain in the rear? Yes. Stress you could have done without? Sure. But at the end of the day, it's still doable. You would be the a-hole if you uninvited out of spite for pulling the plug on using his backyard as your wedding venue. Have him help you with the search for a new venue. I don't necessarily agree with that. But tell me he needs to help redirect whatever arrangements have already been made, resend invites, etc., which he's already offered to do. Tell him that since he threw you this curveball at this point, that it's all hands on deck to change the venue, and that is how he makes up for it. I'm watching mother-in-laws split apart over a similar event. The justice boner isn't the worth. The justice isn't worth the human cost of disinviting close family from one of the most important days that are family-centric in your life. Weddings aren't one of those things people will just get over. This, although I could use without the colorful language. This. Thank you for being the voice of reason. I had to scroll way too far to find this. OP, please heed this advice. I came in here to say this if nobody else did. Not the a-hole. OP wouldn't be wrong, per se, to uninvite their brother. It would be perfectly understandable. Heck, the brother himself probably would even understand. But I think OP may come to regret it. Stop being so spicy, Reddit. I think the brother is probably in kind of a vulnerable spot right now, or he wouldn't have put so much stock in the nanny's superstition. That's a fair take. Maybe he and his wife are just overwhelmed right now. I don't know. Maybe I'm projecting too much. But I think I would still want my sister at my wedding, even if she did something like this, because I know I would eventually forgive her and wish she had been there. I'm not saying OP has to forgive the brother, but if that possibility exists, maybe it's better to give it a buttonhole. And maybe it's worth sitting down with the brother at some point and talking about how much this hurts. You're the most sane and intelligent person in this entire thread. Adults understand circumstances change. The brother offered to find and fund the new location. 30 people at home for an event that will take all day with 2 babies in the home is insane. Thank you. People will be using the restroom and running all over their home. A baby's immune system is still developing. They should have some common sense and not ask in the first place or cancel the request once the second baby was on the way. He even said he'd foot the cost as well. Not exactly left him in the lurch, otherwise he wouldn't be trying to help the situation. Some of the top comments here are way overboard and out of touch with reality. Too true. Let's be real. It was gracious for OP's brother to agree to using their backyard as a wedding venue in the first place. In the end, he decided he wasn't comfortable with that after all and tried to offer alternatives. If OP uninvites him after that, they can say goodbye to that close relationship their family once had. Not the a-hole and completely understandable. If he declined to host in the first place because of that superstition, he'd still be an a-hole. That's simply because you don't subscribe to that idea system or belief, but that doesn't make him an okay, whatever. But you'd have simply chosen another venue. At this late stage, he'd need an extremely good reason to cancel on you. He thinks it's good enough. Remember, this brother's also in the relationship and is aware of the closeness and is aware of the family. Or maybe he's not. Maybe he's socially inept. I don't know. But he considered it a good enough reason to cancel. You must leave him out of your wedding. There may be some other bad luck associated with it, and you would be remiss if you allowed him run that risk. Whoa. The brother would always be an a-hole for not wanting to host the party at their home. This is why it's always worth scrolling to some of the comments. Just a little bit further down. Because sometimes the voice of reason is buried down in there, okay? It's just way down in there. Way down in there. Reddit's intense, man. I am in camp. Take your time before completely disavowing people around your wedding day. I'm all for boundaries. I love boundaries. I think boundaries are great. I preach boundaries all the time, especially when I teach wedding planners how to plan weddings. That's another element of what I do in my business is I teach other planners how to get started. And they need boundaries with clients. And I teach my clients that they need boundaries with the people in their lives because something about weddings just like opens the floodgates of everyone offering opinions around them. And it's so obnoxious. It's so obnoxious. So this is going to be your first test for you and your fiance to figure out what those boundaries look like and what that means. This, in my opinion, is not necessarily the hill to die on for a first strike offense. Not even close. Now, if it's repeated mistake after mistake, or if this person has continuously not prioritized you, if you've seen any of our other AITA posts, it's not like if there's been a history of this, yes, I understand. You don't want them tainting or ruining or affecting one of the best days of your life. No, say so one of the best, not the best, okay? But if this is the first time and he's doing his darndest to make up for it and try to make it better and offer to pay the difference and help you find a location, I would pour grace all over the situation. To pour grace all over it, it's not worth it. It's not worth ruining the relationship and dying on that hill to say, I will not invite you to my wedding. And 5-10 years down the road, I'm going to stand by that decision because I was so strongly affected by it. You're allowed to be mad. You're allowed to feel what you need to feel. And you are allowed to uninvite him if you choose to. I just wholeheartedly would not recommend it, especially because my guess is a couple years down the line, you might regret making this decision. So what are your thoughts? What do you think OP should do in this situation? And what do you think all of the Redditors are on? Because some of them are raging or way too caffeinated. Oh, so let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you haven't done so already, jump on down there, hit that like button if you love the AITA videos, and subscribe to this channel if you would love to have some more tips and tricks for the modern day bride and the occasional spicy AITA take. And until next week, bye guys.